And thank you for coming to Hawkeye's House of Horrors. And I am Hawkeye. And thank you for any returning visitors, as well as anybody who subscribed to my channel. And certainly, if you like this video, go ahead and like it, or subscribe and check out some other videos on my channel as well, as I've reviewed horror films and science fiction, fantasy films. Trying to get through an impossible task, maybe, of going through all of them of all time. But, anyways, I'm really happy to bring to you today my next film from 1981, horror film that I definitely think is worth seeing. It's a sequel, as if you can read, you see it's Halloween 2. Knowingly, I've put this, or I've done this right after Friday the 13th, Part 2, another second entry into an iconic horror film series. And if I'm going to compare the two, I think Halloween 2, if I'm allowed to say, Halloween 2 may be maybe a better film than Friday the 13th Part 2, but in the end, it doesn't matter. They're both worth seeing for sure. So I'm going to do a review today of Halloween 2. Now, this one was directed by Rick Rosenthal. This was his directorial debut. Um, Looking him up, I see he did a lot of directed a lot of TV shows, but he did do Bad Boys with Sean Penn, as well as another Halloween sequel that I will review at some point, and that is Halloween Resurrection. And from my memory, it's been a while since I've seen it, but that one's not so good. But anyways, now this film was written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, who had written the original Halloween. Uh, Hill produced and Carpenter directed. Now, I must say, I definitely think this is one of the better Halloween sequels. It's on the correct side of the fence when it comes to a good Halloween film. But um, it was or I guess John and Deborah were given a very difficult task in trying to write or create a film that would be as effective, as scary, and as good, or in my opinion, as amazing as Halloween. Does it do that? No, sadly, but I still think it's a really good film. Um, Now, this one was done by Universal Pictures. I'm not sure off the top of my head who did the original one, but Universal did this one and part three, and that was it. So Universal came in, and then after, can I call it the debacle of Halloween 3, or maybe the avenue they went down, they decided to jump ship maybe at that point from the Halloween films, but they did this. Uh, distribute Halloween 2 and Halloween 3. Now, this was made on a budget of $2.5 million, which is a big jump in dollars compared to the original. The original was low budget. This one, hey, Universal came on board and they're definitely put some money into the budget here. Now, they definitely hit a home run at the ballpark. Um, at the box office, they made $25.5 million in North America at the North American box office, or in today's dollars of 2024, that would be 88 million bucks. Now it was released at the perfect time of year, October the 30th, 1981. Um, and it was filmed between April and May of 1981 as well. Um, now I've done this a couple times and it's pretty good. It's the perfect time of year to do it. I've watched the original Halloween and Halloween 2, uh, the original films on Halloween night, watch them back to back. It's pretty good, and it's a perfect time of year to do it. I would suggest doing that if you haven't already done so. Now, on this one, I definitely noticed. I've seen this film many times, but this time, Michael Myers. He's the serial killer, the killer under the mask. Um, he's gonna kill a horny nurse and an even hornier paramedic as well in this film. Now, one thing I love about this film is it literally picks up right where the original left off. It's just continually flowing into the next film. And I really love that about it. And it actually kind of does have the same look for a little bit. Um, I do think at the time when this was released, the big fans of the original film must have been pretty excited um, going through the beginning of this film, maybe through the title sequence. And then the film does it really changes the tone from the original. And I'm going to get into some details as to what's different about this film in particular. Um, but anyways, I will definitely go through a little bit of the story and the acting, the big actors in this film, and then get into my likes and dislikes about Halloween 2. Now, in this one, Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance returns to play Dr. Loomis, and he's still in fine form playing Michael's doctor. He continues to look for Michael after he's shot him 6 times, I think, and he will not die, but he's continuing to look for Michael and stop Michael in Haddonfield, the hometown of Michael Myers that he's returned to on Halloween night. And he believes he's still alive this whole time. Now, Laurie Strode is back, the final girl from the original Halloween. Jamie Lee Curtis returns, which is awesome. But she is wearing a wig, and you can kind of tell it is a wig on her head. I think she had very short hair at this time. When in the original, she had long hair, like past her shoulders, I think. Um, but she returns in maybe a role she's most remembered for in her career, and that's Laurie Strode. And definitely to horror fans, I would say that. But she's been sent to the Haddonfield Hospital to deal with the injuries she has been given to during her fight with Michael Myers. Now, personally, I think it's awesome that Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance are back in this film. Um, One of the problems, though, with Laurie's character, I find, um, her character is just kind of sort of there along for the ride, if you will, which kind of does make sense because she's in the hospital, she's been given medication, some probably heavy duty medication, so she's not going to be like out running around fighting Michael, but she's drugged up and she's not doing much. But so it's a little unfortunate on that side. And she doesn't do a whole lot with Dr. Loomis's character either. So she didn't in the original until the final scene. And the same thing kind of happens here. Um, she doesn't really do anything with Dr. Loomis until we get to the final scene, really, with Michael Myers or the face off between all three of those characters at the end of this film. And that's, I think, too bad as well. They, I think it might have been maybe better to have those two characters interacting a little bit more um, and getting to know each other, those two characters, because they really don't through this series of films. And that's too bad. But now, Michael, this time played by Dick Warlock, who was a stuntman, um, he learns of her whereabouts at the hospital and goes there to kill her. Now, with the Michael Myers or the portrayal of Michael Myers, I'm going to say this may, in fact, be off the top of my head. Maybe when I get some other ones, I'm like, no, this one's worse. This one, I really don't actually like the portrayal of Michael Myers. It's a it's not as nowhere near as good as the original. And I know to some people, what? Like how is it different? He doesn't say anything or you don't even see his face. but it's how the character interacts and how he walks and how he does kill him, like how he kills. There's acting involved, and a character being shown. And I found in this one, Michael Myers was very robotic, almost inhuman. Um, and I didn't really like that. It didn't really come across as scary at all. I didn't like that portrayal of Michael Myers. Now, supposedly they did use the same mask as the original film. If it looks different, it's because you have a different actor in there, and I guess it just fits his face differently than it did for Nick Castle, who did it in the original Halloween. Sorry, I'm kind of like keep putting on downfalls of the film, but I think what it is I'm comparing it to the original film, which I think was an amazing film, and it definitely belongs in a list of one of the greatest horror films of all time. That was John Carpenter's Halloween. But you come to realize he's not doing a terrible job, but Rick Rosenthal is no John Carpenter. And that's a problem when you not not that you're creating a sequel, but you're actually just continuing on that same story. It's almost like this is just the second part of this one long story. And you can tell the difference in the directing and how it's brought to the screen. Now, some of that also was John Carpenter himself in the sequel. For example, this film is much bloodier, much gorier to fit with the blood-soaked early 80s of what the I guess the teenagers were running out to the theater to go see and still do to this day. You need blood, you need gore. The unfortunate thing is you don't actually. The original Halloween was had hardly any blood at all. Um, it was not gory. It was set up through the shadows of darkness and what you see and the tensions build in the film. That's how um, that slasher was created, and he did a fantastic job, I think John Carpenter did in doing that. Now I can see how Carpenter says, you know what, I don't really want to do a sequel. He doesn't have to. He's been there, he's done that. He wants to do something different. But I guess they backed up a truckload of cash for him, and he had to write a sequel to Halloween. They wanted another Halloween to make more money at the box office. So, from what I read, it was John Carpenter who added some of the scenes that were gorier or were bloodier. It was, in fact, himself that put them in there. Um, so, I think by doing that, there is perhaps less tension in this second entry of the Halloween films. But certainly it's much more graphic, what you're seeing on the screen. Now, one thing that's interesting too, I really picked up on it this time, as in the original Halloween, right at the beginning of the film, you see um, through Michael Myers' POV or his point of view as he puts a mask on. It's actually a clown mask, and he goes and kills his sister. In this one too, right at the beginning of the film, we see through Michael Myers' POV, but now he's wearing the Michael Myers mask, the Halloween mask. You can hear him breathe. And I'm like, this is interesting. It's kind of following the same steps as the original. But from there, it doesn't really seem to go anywhere where the original one totally did. Was groundbreaking, really, I think, um, or just, well directed. But here we see him enter a house and steal the knife from some old lady who's making a sandwich for her old man who is fallen asleep watching the classic and amazing Night of the Living Dead. But he steals that knife so that he can then go next door and kill someone. Well, why didn't you kill the old people you stole the knife from too? Like that didn't really add up to me either. Um, but but anyways, right in that initial kill, you see, whoa, that's much bloodier than anything that was in the original Halloween, and it's good. They're letting you know right from the get-go, hey, this is going to be a different film. This is going to be a different way of showing Halloween film, and it's kind of been on that route ever since, and that's fine. Now, in this film, they have a reveal that I guess they ran with, and it's been with the Halloween series ever since, until you get to the more recent Halloween films that Jamie Lee Curtis returned to do, the last three of those. But what it is that Laurie is actually Michael Myers' other sister. Now, I some people love it. Some people maybe love that there's like that reveal is added in there to maybe make the story juicier or something. But I'm really in between on it. Um, it's good that there's a level added into the story or to Michael Myers, but did I need it? No, because in the original Halloween, um, there was no indication that they were siblings at all. It was just he's returning home and she's a babysitter working on that same street where her home is, I believe. And he's just returned home to cause havoc. That was good enough for me. But as I put down, like, I compare this reveal just because it was in the same time frame of when the film was released. I compare it to the reveal of Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia being siblings as well. But in that film, or the Star Wars films, or Return of the Jedi, I guess, they really get into that. It's done a lot better, I think, than they did in Halloween 2 in revealing it. Um, for example, even Luke and Darth Vader, that finding out that Darth Vader is Luke's father, um, but it was um, the fact that Luke and Leia were, I think, hinted at before you even find out that Darth Vader is Luke's father. Like when Yoda says there is another, there is another Skywalker, hinting at, oh, okay, he's got a sibling. That's hinted at before you find out that Darth Vader is his father, um, making it a good reveal in the end. I think you can't outdo the reveal of Darth Vader being Luke's father, but it's all, in my mind, all in that same package because it's hinted at before the really good reveal. Now, here in this one, um, I, I'm I am kind of amazed John Carpenter and Deborah Hill wrote this because it's as we learn about Michael Myers being her sibling through dialogue spun out by the nurse Marion Chambers, played by Nancy Stevens, who is actually the wife of Rick Rosenthal as well. Um, that's where we find out about it. So it's just like almost through like thrown out dialogue, or I don't know, that there isn't great tension when you find out about something so huge. Um, with Luke and Vader, there was this amazing, great lightsaber duel, fighting each other, and then it's revealed that Darth Vader is his father. It's a much better way of revealing uh, your lineage in a film like that, where good and evil. Same thing here, and it's just uttered out by some nurse who shows up, or may have been just shoehorned in the film to. That was her whole point of being in the movies. to reveal that, I didn't really like how it was brought out on the screen, really. And then as well, um, Laurie is actually in this film never told that Michael is her brother. Wait a minute. What? So she doesn't really know that's her brother, but everybody else in the movie does, including the audience, but I don't think she was ever told. So just with that, I'm surprised Carpenter and Hill wrote this. But at the same time, from what I read, it was something, it wasn't Carpenter's idea to write a sequel to this, but hey, as I said, they must have backed up a truckload of cash for him because I don't think he was, I don't think John really wanted to write this film. As well, in the original film, there's no mention of another sister. It was just Judith and Michael. I don't remember them ever mentioning that there was another sister. If there was, I apologize. And hey, okay, there you go. But I don't think John or Deborah ever thought that these two were going to be siblings in the original Halloween. You could say that about Star Wars with Luke and Leia, but how it's then built up in the second one um, was much better than this was. This one is in revealing that they're siblings. Now, the music in this film was done by John Carpenter as well as Alan Howarth. I really love how it's the same tune, but how different it is than the original. The original was done on a piano, and this one is done on a synthesizer. And it's the same tune, but I love how it's different. And I love how it's the second part. So, like, let's change things up. Let's not recreate or just have the same score once again. I really enjoy that. It's crazy the one scene with the kid with his mother going to the hospital. He's got like a razor blade in his mouth. It looks like he bit into a candy apple or something, or bit into something, and he's got a razor blade in his mouth. That's horrible. That's way more graphic than anything in the original film for sure. Um, and maybe to some people, that's scarier than anything in any of the Halloween films. That right there, or being in the position of that child or that mother, that your child is no longer safe. And it's supposed to be a night full of fun, much like Michael Myers running around Haddonfield killing people. Now we'll talk about a couple of the kills in the film. As I said, they're certainly more graphic than they were in the original Halloween. But Mr. Garrett, played by Cliff Emick, he gets a hammer to the head, much like the sheriff did in Friday the 13th Part 2. That's kind of interesting. The best kill, though, in the film, to me, is that of Michael and Dr. Loomis. Um, only to find out by Part 4 that no, neither of them died. Nobody died in that huge explosion, fiery blast. Nobody died there. But this was Carpenter's way of finishing off these characters in this story. And okay, let's get on to something different. Um, and I'll get into that when I do review Halloween 3. I actually really loved the idea that he was going with, or trying different horror stories all dealing with Halloween. I really like that idea, but man, it just fell like a sack of potatoes with the next entry when it was released. But this was Carpenter's way of killing these characters off. I also love how the song "Mr. Sandman" by the Chordettes is used at the beginning and the end of the film, and is not exactly what you would say that sounds like a Halloween or a horror film tune. But man, every time I hear that song, I think of Michael Myers. So thanks, guys, for doing that. Um, but I really enjoy how they use that film. Now, this film also had a novel released in 1981, written by Dennis Etchison under the name Jack Martin. So there was a novel written for this. And Saturday Night Live alumni Dana Carvey shows up. Tiny role. He doesn't speak, doesn't say a word, but he's outside. I think it's the house where Annie was babysitting at and was killed at. I think they take her body out of there, but Dana Carvey is working with his character is working with the news reporters, and she's giving him information. So then he goes off and does it, but you can tell it's him, and it's like, ah, cool. And yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing funny about his character, but yeah, Dana Carvey's in there. But I also added up on this night for Halloween and Halloween 2. If I'm not mistaken, I came to a body count of 13 for Michael. He killed 13 people that night. Now, I do have this film on DVD as well. It's not a whole lot on it beyond that, but I do have it. Um, once, I've always liked this film a lot. It's good, really good. Charles Cyphers also returns too. He's more kind of just in the first act, the sheriff of Haddonfield, but he returns as well. I like him. He's definitely a John Carpenter actor. He was in some other films as well, including like Assault on Precinct 13. He was in that one as well. But yeah, that's a really good film. I like it a lot. I'm gonna definitely find Halloween 3. I've seen that a ton. More so when I was a kid and a teenager, I watched it quite frequently and enjoyed it. But since I've gotten older, I have seen it a lot less, I'll tell you. And the last time I saw it, I was like, hmm, I don't know. I'm not so sure about that one. Um, but I'm gonna find it, watch it. There were some elements to it I absolutely loved, or like little things with it that are very staple to that film that I enjoy. But anyways, I'm gonna find that one and review that one for you next. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely one to watch. Halloween 2, really liked it. Um, it's too bad. It kind of feels like when you watch it, you probably think, "Wow, you only talked about the negative stuff. You didn't really go over any of the good stuff." But yeah, like you got really good performances in this film. Like it's a cut above what you would usually get in a horror film with Donald Pleasance and Jamie Lee Curtis. Lance Guest is in here too, who was in the last Starfighter from 1984. He shows up too. So you got some good actors in this too. So, but anyways, um, I'll say it again. If you like this, don't hesitate to click like or subscribe and check out some other videos I have on my channel. But until next time, have yourself an excellent day.